A very warm welcome to you, and thank you for joining us right here on Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali, and we're coming to you from the Fairview Hotel right here at Bishop Road in Upper Hill. And today's conversation is one that every one of you I know would like to listen into, and it's about infertility. So this comes about after even carefully timing unprotected sex for almost 1 year, you're still unsuccessful in getting pregnant. And we'll get to hear this and more about this condition from my amazing panel right here of experts. I have Cecilia Karanja, who is a survivor of this condition, infertility, and she will also explain what she does. She's a CEO somewhere. She'll explain to us as well. And we also have Dr. Fred Kairithia. I said it right?
Yes.
Asante sana. He is an obstetric gynecologist who has also dealt with all this, and we'll learn a lot from them. Karibuni sana.
Asante.
And to my right, we have an audience. We'll also build onto the conversation at the second part of the show. So welcome to Health and Wellness. Karibuni.
Asante.
Cecilia, tell us, what are you doing currently before even we start about infertility?
Okay, Cecilia Karanja is founder of Fertility Kenya.
Yes.
Fertility Kenya deals with persons struggling with infertility. It was started in 2014, registered as an NGO in 2015. So basically that is what I do.
And there's a reason as to why you started this organization.
Yes.
You've gone through infertility yourself.
Yes, I've gone through infertility. I stayed for 10 years without conceiving. I was married, divorced twice. So I got a successful 3 successful babies on my 3rd marriage.
Nice,
Yes.
beautiful. How old are they?
First one is turning 12 in December. Second born is 10. The other one, the last born, is 7 years.
Hey, nice. Congratulations.
Yes.
And we are
Thank you.
happy at least there's a turnover in these conditions. Indio, Daktari?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. What is really infertility? Let's get deeper into it.
So medically, infertility is defined as the inability to conceive when one has regular and protected sexual intercourse for at least 12 months. That is 1 year. Anything shorter than that, we really don't call it infertility. It's called subfertility. And there are many factors, mostly the male factors and the female factors, which I shall expound in the course of our discussion. Yeah.
You can expound even further right now as we go into the discussion.
So infertility, as we practice, it's quite common. It's a taboo topic for obvious reasons. People rarely talk about it. And by the time they come to see us, they have tried herbs, prayers, other interventions before they come to seek professional help. Depending on the society you're talking about, it affects up to around 10% of the couples. And that's why we advocate that should you be in a relationship where you're not able to conceive within that stipulated time, it is always good to be checked. There are those 2 types of factors. Modifiable factors and non-modifiable factors. Generally, both male and female individuals contribute to infertility in the same proportion. So we say 40% contribution by females, 40% by males, and 20% by both, or it's unexplained. But in our society, you find that women are blamed like 100%, 101%.
And 10, in fact,
And therefore, I'm happy to participate in this kind of discussion to demystify the topic of infertility and also shed light on possible solutions that exist even locally.
Thank you so much, Daktari. And let me ask you, Cecilia, did you at any given point think maybe it was not your fault? It was your partner's fault, perhaps in the first marriage?
Yeah, in the first marriage, we stayed for the first year because when I got married, was like, I loved kids and I really wanted my children like immediately. So I did not use any contraceptive. So I tried the first year, second year, nothing was happening. And we decided to go to the hospital. And when we went to the hospital, hospital, I knew definitely it was me. So I went alone and I was checked and I was told I didn't have any problem. So we were told, yeah, Cecilia, you're very young. I don't think there's anything that can be happening. In fact, the first time they didn't do any test. They told me, you're very young. You could not be having problem. They gave me medication and I wasted a whole year taking medication. And that is why at times I blame doctors, because they look at you like this and they tell you you don't have a problem, without even checking if you have a problem or not. And then I came back and nothing had happened, and that is when now they decided to check on me, and they found that I was okay. Everything about me was fine. On my 4th year is when they incorporated now my partner then.
Okay.
And that is when they found out that he had the problem. He had low sperm count, and that is why we could not conceive. And let me tell you, the 4 years, I'm the one who went through the trauma, because after you get married, everyone is expecting you to have these children.
Yes.
When I went to their place, they thought I was a problem. And in fact, because I'm an orphan, they thought I got hooked up to this guy because I wanted dowry from them. And it was so bad, such that a point I had to fake pregnancy to just try and demystify
Really?
the pressure that was there. Yes, I did that.
With what symptoms? How did you manage to fake that?
My stomach always, even right now if you check, my stomach is big. So even then, my stomach was big. So I tried to wear a maternity dress when I went to their place, because the pressure was too much from their place. So the reason why I did that is because every time when I went, they were like just backbiting me, talking about me, and some of them even talking to me, why are you not getting these children? Please get one child at least before, and when we got into confrontation with my husband then, because we got into them, they were all saying it's because of the kids. And they would tell me to get at least one so that the marriage can last. And to a point, he was told to get another person so that they can get a child with. They did not know. Little did they know that I was not the problem. He was the problem. And I refused to disclose that he was the problem. I was trying to protect him. But as much as I tried to protect him, as much as I was trying to tell him to take medication, because there's medication he was given, he refused to take medication and instead continued to beat me. There's a time he beat me until I was admitted to the hospital because of the frustrations.
Yeah.
So he could not come to terms that he had the problem, because with men you don't go to that level of telling them that they have a problem. So yeah, I went through so much.
And Daktari, for men especially, how can we even, how are the symptoms coming out for men?
You can only tell somebody is unable to become pregnant or to impregnate after they have tried.
Okay.
And that's why there are delays in making diagnosis. And subsequently, there is the aspect of denial that Cecilia has talked about, where we feel either there are some spirits which are affecting the pregnancy journey, or it can't be happening to me, but another person. So unless somebody is trying to conceive, it is highly unlikely, because this is a condition, we call it a diagnosis of exclusion. You have to exclude conception for you to conclude that actually you are not able to conceive.
Okay. And after that, how was it now in the next marriage?
So I think after 6 years we broke up, because we couldn't stand the fights and everything. Even my pastor said we need to just leave each other because I could die.
Yeah.
There's a point he took knife, he wanted to kill me. I think the pressure was too much, so we just separated, and I got into this other marriage, and I knew now, because doctor had told me that I was okay, I'm gonna get pregnant like immediately. And I stayed for the first year, second year, nothing was happening.
Again.
Immediately I went to the hospital and I was checked. I had blockage of tube, and I was like, doctor, you're the same person who told me that I'm okay. Right now you're telling me I have blockage of tube. Why is this? So that is when they explained to me that yes, you could be okay today. Fertility changes with time. You could be okay today and tomorrow you're not okay. And again, after 3-4 years, we broke up. because
Again, because
he
of the
really
same
wanted
reason.
the kids and I could not give. And then again, he said that I lied to him because I told him that I didn't have
Oh,
a
yeah.
problem on the other marriage. And
One
here
could
I
think the
am.
same, yeah.
I'm not getting children.
Did you go
And
with
then-
him? Did you go with him to the doctor the
No,
other time?
he refused
Okay.
to go because he had a child
Okay.
with another person. So we knew he was okay. So basically, for me to convince him that it was not true, he could not believe that. And also my friends who pretended to be my friends are the ones who were coming to talk to him and told him that Cecilia will never conceive, even if you continue to stay with her.
Okay.
She will never have these children. And that I felt so bad when we broke up because as you know, this is something that you want to have desperately and you're not even having it. You want to show to the world, like you guys, you are talking about me. And now I'm able to get this child. And I'm telling you, because it could not come it could not happen. And he chased me out. I went into depression automatically.
Sorry about that, Cecilia. But Daktari, like she said, blockage of tubes is one of the factors that leads to this infertility. What are some of the causes that, other than that?
I think for me to discuss that, I will briefly break the causes into two.
Yes.
And I alluded to that earlier. There is what you call the male factors and the female factors. So the male factors are generally the quality of the sperms in terms of count, motility, a condition we call liquefaction, the shapes, maturity of the sperms, presence of infection. All those things are able to be picked when you do a test called semen analysis.
Yeah.
And you can quickly tell the kind of the quality of sperms the male is able to produce. Of course, in addition to that, there are men who are not able to, who are born with certain congenital abnormalities in their reproductive organ, and therefore they might have a good count, but they are not able to perform the sexual act. Others, there are men who get a condition we call undescended testes, which actually I've seen a campaign of late.
What is that?
Ordinarily, when somebody is developing in the womb,
Yeah.
the testes are in the abdomen. But before birth, before the baby is born, the testes should have descended into the scrotum. So sometimes they get arrested in the tract, and then they remain within either the abdomen or that tract. And the temperatures are quite hostile to the process of sperm formation, what we call spermatogenesis. There are men who are born with, who contract a condition called mumps, and mumps has a very high affinity to affecting the sperms. And those are the people, when you do the test, you actually find that they have zero sperm count. There are certain drugs that can also cause, interfere with the quality of sperms. The illicit drugs like cocaine, excessive smoking. Most of the drugs of addiction will have an impact on the quality of sperm.
Yeah.
But we also talk about certain occupations which, because sperms are very sensitive to temperature changes, and that's why the scrotum is made in a way that when it is too hot, it is able to relax and regulate the temperatures. But men who work in very hot environment, people who operate machines, people exposed to radiations, have a high likelihood of getting low sperm count. There are also infections which can affect sperm count, as well as certain occupations and sporting activities, those high impact sports. And you know, sometimes people may target that particular place.
Hey. Rugby.
Yeah, when they want to immobilize you. So that's why it's an area which needs to be protected. And I think most sporting activities protect that very well. through penalties, giving penalties. Now, on the female side, we classify that into two. We can have structural causes, like what she has mentioned. Any blockage in the reproductive tract, may it be at the cervical level, the uterus, the fallopian tubes, will make it impossible for the egg and the sperm to meet. And therefore, without that fusion of the two gametes, there shall be no conception. Some of the causes of these blockages in the cervix, there are people who get cervical infections causing scarring and what we call stenosis. Then fibroids can also cause occlusion of the cervix or the uterus. There are women who will have scarring of the uterus after some procedures like dilatation and curettage, and therefore the layers of the inner layers of the uterus actually fuse. Yeah, okay. They get adhesions, and therefore there is no cavity which is left. And then fallopian tubes are affected mostly by conditions, chronic pelvic inflammatory conditions, infections which come after miscarriages, or even other conditions such as endometriosis can actually cause irritation and inflammation, which blocks the fallopian tubes.
What about PCOS? Is it called PCOS?
And quickly, yeah, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Now, the function, remember I talked about structure and function. The function is actually exemplified by the ability of the lady to ovulate. And ovulation is a cyclic release of egg every month, whereby the body goes through the process and ovum is developed, then it ovulates in the mid-cycle. So there are conditions which will affect this process of ovulation, mostly endocrine conditions or conditions to do with hormones. And this is where PCOS falls. That is polycystic ovarian syndrome. We have conditions where we have low levels of estrogen, conditions like thyroid conditions, the other metabolic conditions which will affect the ability to ovulate. So as you can see, there are quite a number of things we need to marry for us to decide, first, is there a problem? Number two, who has the problem? Is it the man or the woman? And number three, is this problem solvable? Is it something which can be rectified? And if we say yes, what are the available options?
Okay.
Because as Madam Cecilia will allude to, the treatment will vary from making you conceive to a point of even telling you can't conceive, please explore adoption.
And we'll come back
because
also.
we treat that as also a viable treatment for fertility, where you get kids who are not yours.
Yeah. We want to come back after the break with the treatment process and how, if it's preventable as well. And especially for men, you've mentioned that the tests can be done through semen analysis. So how is it done for the women? Okay. We want to take a short commercial break. We're coming right back. Welcome, and if you've just joined us, this is Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali. Remember, the hashtag on Twitter is hashtag Health and Wellness, hashtag KTN Welcome Home on our socials at KTN Home, at Zaitun Ali on Twitter, and at Ali_Zaitun on Instagram. So we also have a SMS line, which is free of charge, 22151. If you have any questions to our panel right here, shoot them. We will respond ASAP. So we've been talking about infertility, and on my panel I have Cecilia Karanja, who is a survivor of this condition, and I also have Dr. Fred, a gynecologist, who is just telling us very informative statements about the infertility, how it comes about, the causes, how to treat it, and how also to prevent. So in this second part, we want to know, Dr. Ray, about how are the tests done for infertility? What does the tests entail?
So the tests are actually decided on depending on what you suspect, and we do preliminary check through taking history. That is just asking questions like the way we are talking, and you're able to find out what is the probable cause. The reason is some of the tests are quite expensive and not readily available, even locally. And therefore, for you to ask for those tests, you must be sure that they are going to add value. So we take sexual history from the couple, how often they are sexually engaged. We look at any use of medication, some of which might have an effect either on ovulation or on the quality of sperm. Any use of drug, alcoholism, smoking, all those things. We also check for personal attributes like blood pressure, the body mass index, BMI, if they're obese or not. And that way we're able to decide for this particular couple, let's begin with this kind of test, so that the take-home message is there's no like blanket test that we do. We can't do like a battery test, which do not apply. They have to add value. Some of them are quite uncomfortable, others cost money. Now, coming closer, for the men, the primary test is the semen analysis, what is normally called a sperm count. But other than count, we look at other attributes of the sperms. And I said earlier, we check the count, how many millions per 1 ml of semen, what is the quality.
What's the standard rate?
Usually it's between anything more than 40 million per ml is considered normal. And then we look at what proportion of these sperms have normal shapes, what proportion of the sperms are dead.
Even the shape matters?
Yes. Yeah. Because it has to be in a way that it can glide and swim through. Otherwise, if the shape is abnormal, it could either mean that they have genetic issues, or number two, they are not able to move through the reproductive tract to cause fertilization. So depending on that, what we find under the sperm analysis, then we can decide what other tests we need to perform on the man, and there are many. Now for the ladies, we want to find out if there is any blockage, and one of the tests we do is HSG, which in long is hysterol sulfingogram. And in this test, we inject a contrast into the female reproductive tract through the cervix. If there is blockage, then this contrast will not flow up to the end of the fallopian tube. And then we say the lady has blockage, what we call tubal factor. An ultrasound will also assess the nature of the uterus, because eventually that's where the baby will grow. So we look for things like fibroids, which are benign growth. And sometimes we even do an ultrasound and find somebody who was born without a uterus, which are some of the congenital issues I talked about. Last, we can do hormonal test. First of all, to check the levels of estrogen, progesterone, follicle-stimulating hormone, prolactin, and another one called AMH. So those are the primary hormonal tests that we check if we're investigating fertility in the couple.
Thank you for that. And Cecilia, before the break, she had mentioned about being in 2 different marriages that failed because of infertility conditions. And the first one, it was not her, it was the male partner. But the second one, she got to find out it was your condition now. And how did you manage now after that second marriage to now this turnaround and a story of success all in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think after I told you I went into depression, and I was cancelled, and I was told I need to go back to myself, because the reason why my marriage is failing is because of this child. And I was so determined to get this child, so that if I ever get married, because I believe in marriage, I will conquer this elephant that is causing me not to get this child. So when I woke up from the stress I was going through, I called my doctor, and he was Dr. Onyambo. He's such a wonderful doctor. I called him and I told him, Daktari, I've lost it again. And I asked him, now what do we do? He told me, Cecilia, just where we stopped, you need to go through the laparoscopy so that you can get a child. And I was so determined that I need to conquer this thing. And I went back to Daktari, and I started saving. As I said, it's not cheap to do fertility treatment. It's very, very expensive. From the treatment of medication to the surgery to the IVF procedure, it's very, very expensive. But I was so determined to get this child. And that is how now I went back to my doctor and I started saving. I would go there, I leave 10,000 shillings, I would go leave 5,000 shillings until I was able to raise the amount of money that I was needed to have. Yeah. And finally we did the laparoscopy, and I started trying to conceive after 1 year, because Daktari said I should start trying to conceive after 6 months. Okay. Because of course there's a lot of adhesions in my uterus. So if I get pregnant, the baby will come out. So he told me to wait until 6 months, and sure to the word, I tried, and I bought a box of pregnancy kit. Yeah. And let me tell you, the day it tested positive, I was so happy. And I could not believe it, because before I left the house, I tested like 3 times and it all came positive. I went to work and I tested again. And finally, yes, it was confirmed that I was pregnant. Yeah. But unfortunately, I didn't go to the hospital, or I didn't tell anyone, because I didn't want anyone to tell me that there was no pregnancy. I didn't want Daktari to tell me that there was no pregnancy. Yeah. So I went there when I was around 6 to 7 months, and they asked me, where is your clinic, whatever, where have you been going? And I told them, I don't have anything. And we started from there, and now I got my beautiful son as my firstborn, and I was so happy. Yeah. And I could not believe that I've gotten this precious baby, a baby that had made me lose 2 marriages.
During the 9 months, I am sure.
Alitunz Wasada, even after getting him. Wow. I couldn't even imagine that I'm taking him to my home.
What's his name?
He's Prince. He's called Prince Kamau. And I thank God for my son, because he's such a wonderful boy. Yeah. And let me tell you, when God gives you, blesses you with the best, because my children have never gone to the hospital because of anything, and I thank God for that, because I believe they are miracles from God. And right now, as I said, I got my first one, and because I didn't want to have another blockage of tube, I got my second
almost immediately.
In fact, I conceived when I was 8 months, when my son was 8 months. What? And I got pregnant with my second son, and now I got my thirdborn, who is a daughter. Okay. And let me tell you, if there's anything and I would wish for any person, is those children. this is the only thing that you can call your own. Your husband, you can call my husband because he can get somebody else and they love out there. You can get a house, you can get a car and it gets an accident. But the only person you can call your own is your child. Even when you're gone, they will continue naming you, you continue getting children under your name.
Yeah.
So that is why I'm so passionate about fertility.
And you mentioned actually,
Yeah.
2nd of November is World Fertility Day.
Yes.
Okay, what are you guys doing about this?
Yes. So after I succeeded, I started World Fertility Kenya. Fertility Kenya is an NGO that deals with persons struggling with infertility. Basically, what we do is connect you to doctors. We counsel you. We cry together. We love on each other. We talk to each other about infertility because, as I said, it's a stigma. We can't talk to everyone about it apart from the doctor.
Yeah.
So we have created a platform where we come and bond and love on each other. And what we are doing is that on 2nd of November is World Fertility Day. We had our first World Fertility Day in 2021. 2022, we didn't do our second World Fertility Day. But this year, we are doing our second World Fertility Day.
Yeah.
The first one was at Serena. This time, it will be at Sarova Stanley from 5 p.m.
And before the show ends, you'll tell us more about it because definitely we will be coming.
Yes,
okay?
karibu sana.
And I want Daktari just to very briefly to mention about the treatment process as we engage the audience on their side in case they have questions, before we wind up.
Thank you. There are different options that are available, and they range from the surgical and non-surgical. Surgical is like what Cecilia mentioned
She
about
called it
laparoscopy,
laparoscopy,
which means putting a camera in and trying to open the tubes, because our problem was the tubes. So that's a surgical intervention. The non-surgical means giving drugs. If you find there are hormones which are imbalanced, you try and balance them. You also try to induce ovulation for those ladies who are not ovulating.
Okay.
And I earlier discussed what ovulation is. If there is any medical condition which I listed earlier, it needs to be first and foremost treated for one to be ready to conceive.
Okay.
But largely, even for men who have poor sperm count, there are drugs to improve the sperm count. But if it's very, very severely affected, then we go to the next level of care, which is something called IUI. IUI means we inseminate, we process those sperms,
Yes.
get rid of the bad ones, and then inseminate or introduce those processed sperms into the lady when she's ovulating, and subsequently, by the time she ovulates, she's able to conceive if there is no blockage. In cases where either the count is very low or there is a blockage, then we go to another level, which is called IVF, in vitro fertilization. And here we achieve fertilization outside the body in the lab, and then the embryo which arises from that is introduced back into the womb to grow, of course with support of medication and other interventions.
And just what are the chances of conceiving after now the diagnosis for anyone out there?
It depends on the cause. Actually, we have a living testimony here of 100%, not once, not twice, thrice. So there are those success stories. The only thing is that you have to come and seek help.
Okay.
Preferably in a conventional manner, because I avoided discussing use of herbs, use of black magic, because people, by the time they come to hospital, they have tried those interventions, and you can understand why.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Point of desperation.
Emotionally draining. Sometimes fertility is viewed from the spiritual angle, because pastors and imams will interpret infertility in their own way. They will tell you go slaughter some animals, do this and that. But if it's a blockage, it is a blockage.
Hakuna mwarobaini itafungua hiyo blockage.
Not really.
Ni sawa. But
Yeah.
I'd like to now introduce our audience, and we'll be taking questions from any one of you right now. Okay. We have a question here.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I have a question for Cecilia, and the first question goes to Cecilia. Anyway, congratulations on your bundle of joys. I know you're so happy, and thank you for the good job you're doing to the women who have infertility cases. My question is, what was the reaction from your previous marriages, the families? What was their reaction? And the second question goes to the doctor. Are there infertility institutions in Kenya? And if there are, what are the costs for the processes?
Thank you so much, Carol, for that question. Tutaanza na Cecilia.
Yeah.
Hata mimi nataka kujua hii reaction.
You know, God has a way of just making your enemies mad.
True.
Yes, because when I was so pregnant with my first baby, after a very long time, we had not seen, I had not seen my first partner, and we met on the street, and he was like, "What?"
Like a
and I'm like,
coincidence.
"Hi," and he was akaenda. So, but God made sure that he saw I was pregnant.
Nice.
On my second marriage, the parents, the mother was so good to me. She was so loving. And to a point, she brought women to come and hold my baby. Imagine, and it's not a baby for their son. And they were so excited. And she told the son, "You left Cecilia because she could not get a child. Just see what God did to her."
Oh, that's
and let me
kind of
tell
kind.
you, it's something that I held so personal to date. I don't like anyone who talks badly about people who are going through infertility.
Yes.
Because you don't know. God is going to come, and what will be your reaction? So you need to support this person who's going through infertility just before you're ashamed in front of your eyes.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Daktari.
So the reaction was very beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, that's quite good. Now, my question is about the institutions. There are quite a number. There are those which are primarily doing fertility treatment. They are called fertility centers. Currently, there are about 8 or 10, which are able to give the full range of treatment, including IVF, the one I last talked about, in vitro fertilization. But it's good to say that we don't like categorizing fertility treatment in that black and white. Anytime you discuss an issue, even with the smallest person in the healthcare, may it be a nurse, a clinical officer, or a medical officer, that is where you start your treatment, because they will be able to process you and refer you to another level where you can get care depending on what it is. So the message is we are not necessarily saying everyone to come and flock Nairobi from Garissa, Mombasa, Kisumu for things which can be done in the grassroots. So clarion call, if somebody is experiencing fertility issues, let them discuss with the nearest available healthcare provider who will actually provide them the necessary referrals to a place they can get treatment.
She also asked about the costs, perhaps give an estimate.
The cost for IUI is in the range of 30 to 100,000, depending on where you are doing it, depending on the source of the sperm, if they're donor sperms, or because you can also do IUI with donor sperms. If there are additional treatment to be given, like hormonal support, the average cost of IVF in vitro fertilization is between $500,000 to around 700,000, depending again on if there are additional interventions, including drugs which needs to be given to the mother to support the pregnancy or to improve chances of conception.
And I'm sure maybe someone will be asking, can my insurance cover? Was yours covered by an insurance, Cecilia?
No,
Okay.
they don't cover, but if you need to do surgery for fibroids, NHIF covers, and of course even the other insurance cover. Also, if you want to do IVF, which is very expensive, it goes to around 500 to 600,000. There are some insurances that are covering, especially the civil servants. NHIF is covering for civil servants. They are paying everything for them. Also, CIC is paying for NPS, that is the police. AON Minet is covering for teachers, and also KPLC is being covered for. We have KRA is covering for their patient. We have KCB Bank is covering. Safaricom is also covering. So gradually, we are really talking to these companies to start negotiating on behalf of their staff so that they can be covered. So they are really embracing it, and we are seeing a positive turnaround about infertility coverage. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Any other question from our audience?
Thank you so much. My name is Collins, and I have two questions for Daktari. First, we live in a very biased world where, like Cecilia was sharing, it's so easy to throw all the blames to the women. Now for you, and now I'm representing the men, how easy or how hard it is to tell the man like they can't impregnate someone or something because of the ego. And especially when we go to the ego part, how hard or easy is it to get them to be willing to go through these processes? And secondly, can someone have a low sperm count when they are not ejaculating? And in that same question, I don't know how to put this, but can someone have a fully loaded tank of sperms and not to donate, but and they're still like can't perform?
Those are very important questions. One,
Thank you, Colin.
Disclosure of bad news. It's a hard thing. We might, of course, with time you develop certain tacts and skills. Just the way you disclose if somebody's loved one has died is the same thing. So we are able to take them through, and you'll be surprised when couples come and subject themselves to your evaluation. Even the man knows there is a possibility that they could be having a problem. So you just need to emphasize that, occasionally do some tests, then take them in a very simplified manner. They're able to understand. Some people go into serious depression, as Cecilia said, because the question they ask is, why me? What have I done? Yeah. And then the stigma that our society subjects these people to. So we're trying to advocate so that we minimize that. The second question is about failure to perform, which is also very critical. For you to deposit sperms where they are supposed to cause pregnancy, you must perform. So it goes without saying. But there are people who may not, because of conditions like back injuries. Others are not able to perform for one reason or another. And that's why we said we can collect these sperms, process them, and then use them to inseminate. Yeah. So it is possible to have normal sperms, but you fail to perform for one reason or another. But it is also possible to be a top performer by shooting blanks, the way we say, where we say there is no, we do a sperm count, it is 0 count. And that's where we go to other modalities of intervention. Yeah. So part of the reason why I'm thrilled to be here today is to raise awareness on that, because as a practicing gynecologist, these things we encounter them every day. Even today, I'm sure if I live here, there are chances that I might get somebody who is struggling with the topic. So it's a very weighty topic, but discussed in low tones with lights off most of the time.
At least now we have the lights on. You've given amazing and informative knowledge about this reality, and I'm so grateful for you sharing your story as well, Cecilia. We are very inspired. Congratulations to you. And I'd like to know maybe where people can get you, where people can find you, and how we can come for the event on the 2nd of November. Yes.
Yeah, Fertility Kenya is located at Embassy House, 3rd floor, room 319. We are on social media. We are on Facebook page, Fertility Kenya, with a capital F and capital Kenya. So you can find us there. You will see all the activities that are there. Also, we'll be having an event on the 2nd of November. We want to welcome each and every one of you. We'll be at the archives from 9 a.m. We shall be having a peaceful procession to NHIF. We want NHIF to cover each and every one. We don't want them to discriminate. As you've heard, they cover the civil servants. We want them to cover each and every one of us. We want also to go to the parliament. We want them to pass the pending bill that has been there from 2016 to date. It has never been passed. So basically for us is to just welcome you. In the evening, we shall be having dinner. We shall be celebrating World Fertility Day, and we'll have all these experts on board. They shall be talking about what IVF is, laparoscopy, all these things that you want to know. They'll be talking about adoption. They'll be talking about all this, and tickets are just going for 5,000 shillings. And lastly, before I go, I want to say something to the government.
Sure.
Please, before you take people to Haiti, please let us collect their sperm, so that in case they don't come back, we are able to get children even after they are gone. For women who are going to Haiti, please let us collect your eggs so that your mother can have your baby even if you're gone. And that is all what I have to say for the government.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. Yes, Dr. Fred. Where can we find you?
That's quite...
Ama ulikuwa unapanga kwenda Haiti pia wewe?
No. I'm not in the forces. So, the Kenya Obstetrics Gynecology Society, we have an office at KMA Center, 4th floor. We are open to collaborations.
KMA is in Nairobi, right?
KMA is just here in Upper Hill. That's the society where I'm an official. And actually we deal with issues of reproductive health. My private office is in Hurlingham at a building called APA Arcade, 1st floor, suite number 9. But I'm also available on Twitter at Dr. Fred with _ in between.
Thank you so much to my panel for this informative talk about infertility. Thank you to my audience as well for the questions that you brought into the conversation. And this has been Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali. You can find this episode on YouTube at KTN Home, on Twitter at KTN Home. Hashtag is Health and Wellness. Hashtag KTN Welcome Home. Find me on Zaitun Ali on Instagram and on Twitter. So we'll see you next time. Same place, same time. We've been at the Fairview Hotel.